Hello everyone. Good morning. We'll just wait for 1 or 2 more minutes for others to dial in, guys, and we'll get started. Thirty more seconds, guys. Okay, let's get started, guys. I'm sharing my screen. First of all, a warm welcome to OIC Training by Unogeeks. It's a first session for your batch today, and I'll start with my introduction. This is Prasad. I'm an integration specialist with almost 20 years of experience, and I've been using OIC for almost 8 to 9 years now. In fact, I've been using from day one Oracle released it. And I did around 10 to 12 Fusion Cloud implementation projects using OIC as a key integration tool in it. And as part of the course, we would be covering 15 integrations, 5 VBCS and 5 PCS applications for real-time scenarios. So I'll be covering only the use cases that I've built and delivered for actual end clients like HSBC or British Telecom. And that's a brief about my profile. And I also did close to 120 batches for OIC so far. I've been doing trainings in OIC for almost like 6 to 7 years now. And this is what I have an agenda for today, guys. Before we talk about what exactly Oracle Integration Cloud is and what components we have in it, we'll try to spend few minutes and try to and understand why do we need a product like OIC in first place? Because whenever you learn something, you need to know why. So why do we need a product like OIC in first place? And what integration challenges do we have in today's world? What integration challenges do we have in today's world now that you have cloud everywhere, which was not the case even 2 or 3 years back? So what are the new integration challenges that you and me have to deal with as an integration specialist? Okay, we'll spend roughly 10 minutes or 15 minutes to understand the first 2 points, like why do we need OIC? What challenges do we have in today's world? And then we talk about briefly what OIC is. And in 10-15 minutes from now, I'll take you into OIC instance. I'll take you into OIC instance, and we will try to understand how easy it is to build integration in OIC. I want all of you to realize how easy it is to build integration in OIC. Yes, we're not going to build integration on day one, but I want to show you with the help of a sample integration use case, how easily it can be done, because I want all of you to realize how OIC works on a high level. That's the agenda for today, guys. So first 15 minutes, I'll cover these 3 points, a little bit of theory, a background as to why do we need OIC, what challenges we deal with, and how easy OIC is. And we'll spend roughly 30 minutes to understand how to build and how to achieve an integration use case in OIC. We'll take a Salesforce to ERP Cloud Automation service as an example and understand it. And then I'll leave out the last 10-15 minutes only for Q&A because it's day one. And when I Yes, when you join a training sessions, guys, you will be put on mute by default. You will be put on mute by default, and we have done it only to avoid the background noise, guys. And when I'm explaining something in a session, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself, ask the question, and go back on mute. But please note that I would be leaving out a good 5 to 10 minutes in every session towards the end only for Q&A. I strongly recommend wait until we open up a session for Q&A and ask your question rather than jumping into the session in between, disturbing the entire flow. But if you want something to be answered then and there itself, yes, you can feel free to unmute yourself, ask the question, and go back on mute. And unless you have a strong reason, please don't unmute yourself. For the benefit of everybody, let's do it in a thoroughly professional manner. Let's not have any background noises or anything coming into the picture. And first two sessions, it will be slightly difficult to keep it interactive because we try to cover a lot more content than what we normally do in a 1 hour session. But from day 3, we'll keep it highly interactive. With that background, let's get started. And also feel free to let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow. I'm open to adjust my pace. Okay. And let's get started, guys. Now, why do we need a product like OIC in first place? Now, if you look at the IT landscape of companies, if you look at the IT landscape of companies maybe 5 years back or 10 years back, okay, if you look at the IT landscape of companies maybe 5 years back or 10 years back, all the applications that clients used to use used to be on-premise applications, guys. Used to be on-premise applications. So let's take an example. Let's say you're doing this implementation for, let's say you're doing an implementation project for Emerson. Okay. And Emerson is a US based manufacturing firm. Let's say we're doing a Fusion Cloud implementation for Emerson. And for those Fusion Cloud implementation, for that Fusion Cloud implementation project, we need to build a lot of integrations in OIC. But before we talk about how OIC is used, now assume that Emerson is a US-based manufacturing firm and they need to use an ERP product. They need to use an ERP product to manage their finance, and SCM modules. Now, until 5 years back, until 2 or 3 years back or 5 years back, all the applications, all the ERP products used to be on-premise, guys. Used to be on-premise. What exactly does that mean, guys? What it means is Emerson needs to buy a required servers from Oracle. This is the first thing that it should do. And it's a high, it's capital expenditure right at the top, right at the beginning. Capital expenditure right at the beginning. Oracle Emerson has to spend a lot of capital to buy the required servers from Oracle, and then it has to onboard apps a DBA team, and that team would install Oracle ERP or Oracle EBS on servers installed on-premise, on-prem servers, if I have to put it this way. Okay. So this is how, if it is an on-prem application, client has to spend a lot of amount upfront, buy the required servers, and once we receive those servers at the location, Emerson will have to onboard Oracle Apps DBA team, and that team will install the application on on-prem servers. And who is responsible for keeping this maintenance of the application, maintenance of EBS app? It is the headache of Emerson itself. Okay, so Emerson itself, with the help of that apps DBA team, it is Emerson's responsibility to keep its app up and running 24/7, upgrade it, patch it, keeping it security compliant and all that. But if you look at all of this, and if you look at it precisely from Emerson's standpoint, guys, if I'm a client, it would be ridiculous, right? So I spend a lot of capital upfront. I buy those servers. I need to onboard a team to install that application, and I'm responsible for the maintenance of the application as well. Isn't it, guys? And I need to do all of this. I need to do all of this apart from focusing on my core manufacturing business, which is my bread and butter. And that is exactly where, what's the situation now? What's the situation now? And it's all cloud everywhere. It's all cloud everywhere. And if if Emerson wants to use ERP, if Emerson wants to use ERP today, what is it that would happen now, guys? We no longer use on-prem applications, and we go to Oracle. I mean, Emerson would go to Oracle. And Emerson would go to Oracle and say, boss, I want to use your ERP product to manage the finance and SCM modules. Now, what Oracle would do, guys? Oracle would go to a data center closest to Emerson location. Let's say Emerson is based out of Chicago. What Oracle would do, guys? Oracle has data centers all around the globe. So it will go to the location which is very close to Chicago, and Oracle would install the application. Oracle would install Fusion application in cloud, meaning in one of the data center, and it would share a URL with Emerson. Now, what would Emerson do, guys? Emerson would access the Fusion Cloud application. Emerson would access the Fusion Cloud application installed. Emerson would access the Fusion Cloud application installed in cloud with the help of that URL. Okay. So we go ahead and what is it that we do? We go ahead and Oracle would install the application in one of the data center closest to my location, and it would share the URL with Emerson. And what exactly would Emerson do, guys? Emerson would log into that application. Emerson would log into that Fusion Cloud application with the help of URL. Okay. So what is it that they would do? So assume that you get this URL from Oracle, and you would access that URL as a client. Emerson would access the application through the URL. And when you access the URL given by Oracle, of course, they would be sharing one admin username and password. And you would be, as an end client, you would log into the Oracle application, which is running in cloud, meaning in one of the data center, and you would log in with a username and password. And this is exactly how the Fusion Cloud application would look like. Now, what is it that we're trying to access here, guys? We are trying to access Oracle Fusion application running in cloud. And now tell me one thing is, if you look at all these disadvantages that we had with on-prem and compare it with the cloud, do I need to buy the servers to install this application on-premise, guys, as an end client? Yes or no, please? This is an application running in the data center, right? So I don't need to buy the servers. And do I need a team to look after the application?
No.
Not really, because it is Oracle who is going to install this application in cloud, and it is their responsibility to keep this application up and running 24/7. It is their responsibility to keep to upgrade this version every quarter. So everything would be taken care by Oracle, guys. And if you think about it from a Emerson standpoint, no capital expenditure. I don't need to maintain a team, and I'm not responsible for maintenance of the application. And another major thing is, yes, this is basically called as software as a service. What is it called as, guys?
SaaS.
Software as a service. So it's like I'm using the software as a service. I get the software as from Oracle. I use it as a service for a month, and at the month end, I get a bill from Oracle. And how you pay your broadband bill, you pay a bill to Oracle similarly. And you guys realize that there are plenty of advantages of using cloud applications when compared to on-prem. And that is why if you look at the IT landscape of companies today, 5 years back, all the applications clients used to have would be on-premise. And But if you look at the IT landscape of companies today, any IT, any client, they have a hybrid IT landscape, and a client might be using Oracle HCM Cloud or ERP and SCM Cloud. They might be using few cloud applications given by Oracle in cloud. Could be HCM, ERP Cloud, SCM Cloud, and the same client might be using Salesforce to manage their customers. Remember, Salesforce is a number 1 CRM system in the world, and they might use it as a customer master, and a client might be using ADP to run a payroll. And at the same time, client might also have some on-prem applications still. So what does it mean to you and me, guys, though, that most of the clients do have hybrid IT landscape today? They have few on-prem applications. They are using some applications given by Oracle in cloud. At the same time, they also are using some cloud applications not given by Oracle. So it basically poses 3 integration challenges that we have to deal with as integration specialists. Challenge one, how do you integrate one Oracle cloud application with another Oracle cloud? Maybe how do you integrate HCM with ERP or ERP with SCM? That's challenge one. Challenge two, how do you integrate Oracle cloud application with non-Oracle applications like Salesforce or ADP? Now you might say, Prasad, why should I integrate non-Oracle applications like Salesforce or ADP with Oracle? I'll explain one such use case in 5 minutes from now. That's challenge two. How do you integrate Oracle cloud application with non-Oracle cloud? And integration challenge three, how do you integrate Oracle cloud applications, Oracle cloud or non-Oracle cloud applications with on-prem applications? So these are the 3 key integration challenges that we have to deal with as an integration specialist, guys. These are the 3 key challenges. That we have to deal with. Now, I've listed down those challenges here. Legacy style integration, the way you build the integrations, the way you maintain them is quite complex, and there's no easy way to move the data from cloud to on-premise and vice versa. And we also don't have an option to automate a business process along with integration in other products. And you don't have to worry about analytics. So how do we deal with all these challenges then? OIC is an answer. And yes, OIC follows a configuration-based approach. And with the help of OIC, you can easily overcome all these integration challenges. And I want to show you real quick how easy it is to build integration in OIC using a configuration-based approach. And I hate PPTs, guys. I hate PPTs. I mean, I probably would use PPTs for maximum 1 or 2 hours put together in all the sessions for over 55 hours. I use them hardly for 2 or 3 minutes, only at the beginning of the session to set the context for the use case. And since it's day 1, I cannot directly log into OIC. That's why I've spent few minutes here. And yes, when you enroll in a course, we will be sharing all this material with you, the PPTs, supporting files and all that. But it's not a PPT-based training that we do. All the sessions will be pure hands-on sessions. Now let's take a sample integration use case and try to understand how easy it is to build integration in OIC. And what's a use case is? We go back to the same client. Let's say we go back to the same client, Emerson. And let's say Emerson is using Salesforce as their main CRM system. And let's assume that a client is using Oracle ERP Cloud to manage the finance and SCM modules. And what exactly the business user on the client side would do, guys? What exactly would a business user on the client side would do? So whenever they get a new customer, Emerson is using Salesforce as their main customer master. And whenever they get a new customer, business user on the Emerson side, they would log into the Salesforce application. They would log into Salesforce. They go into Sales Console. and they'll be creating a customer from there. Let's say Emerson has got a new customer, and when you go to Sales Console, you see a homepage like this. Go to accounts and create a new account. Let's say our Salesforce has got a new customer. Uh, let's call him John Doe. And let's say Emerson has got this new customer. And when Emerson has got this new customer, business user on the client side would log into Salesforce and create a customer here. And yes, John Doe would have bought some goods or services from Emerson. And after the customer is created here, the business user on the client side, business user of Emerson, wants to create a receivable invoices against the customer. Does Emerson do charity, guys? Does it sell the goods and services for free? Of course not, right? When it sells something, obviously it would want to invoice the customer for it. It would want to invoice the customer for it. Now, as soon as a client gets a customer, they would enter the customer details here, and yes, a client would have bought some goods or services, and Emerson wants to invoice this customer, and and the second assumption is Emerson is using Fusion Cloud application to manage their finance and SCM modules. Now, what a business user would do, they would come into Fusion Cloud, log in as a finance user, and they're going to receivables and they try to create an invoice. Now, when I try to create an invoice here, now tell me one thing is, can I create an invoice without a customer, guys?
No.
No, because it's
They
mandatory.
need to be.
And also, if I tell you that you are assume that you are a business user and you created a customer here, I come to you and say, boss, you have done a pretty good job. You created a customer here. And I would say, come to the Fusion application after that. After you create a customer in Salesforce, come into Fusion Cloud and come into customer screen in Fusion Cloud again. And I would ask you to create a customer account again in Fusion Cloud. And after you create a customer account, you will be able to see that customer here. Right? After you create a customer in ERP, you will see that customer here. Now, do you think business user would agree to create a customer in Salesforce and again repeat the same stuff in Fusion Cloud, guys?
No. It's
Obviously,
tedious.
no, right? Yeah, tedious, and it's a duplication of work, right? So, what exactly business user would say? Hey, Prasad, is everything all right? I don't really care what you do. I'm creating a customer in Salesforce. I would enter the customer details. I would hit the save button. I don't really care what you do or how you achieve it. I want this customer to show up in this drop down ASAP. And I'm not going to do, even if you ask me to click another button, I'll not do it. So what's a use case? Pretty simple. As soon as a customer is created in Salesforce, we want that same customer. When a customer is created in Salesforce, same customer should be created in ERP. No time gap. Now, if you come to me and say, after you create a customer in Salesforce, you will see that customer here after half an hour. Would a business user agree to it, guys? Do you think he would set up alarm and come back to the application after half an hour and create an invoice?
No,
Definitely
they
no,
wouldn't agree.
right? Yeah, they would definitely not agree for it. And they would say, sorry, boss, we don't want to have any time gap whatsoever. And also, they will not be willing to do any other manual action. So can we achieve use cases like this by building integration in OIC? Very well.
Yes.
Now let's log into OIC instance first. And don't think that I'm creating an integration on day one, guys. All I want to do was just give you a very high level overview of how it's done in OIC. Now, when you log into OIC instance, this is a home page you get to see. And yes, with a course enrollment, guys, we give you access to OIC. We give you access to Fusion Cloud, a database, and an FTP server. We basically give you access to everything that you need to practice the use cases. So when you log into the OIC instance, you see a home page, and when you click on the navigator here, you will be able to see the cloud services available in OIC. And what version of OIC instance is this, guys? It is a generation 3 OIC instance. It is a OIC 3 version or a Gen 3 version. There used to be a old version of OIC called Gen 2, and that has been phased out. And all the clients have already moved into OIC Gen 3. So this application that you are seeing on screen is OIC Gen 3. And this is exactly what we use in the sessions, and you would be using the same instance to practice. Okay, we're dealing with the latest one. And within OIC, as you can make out from the name, Oracle Integration Cloud. Oracle Integration Cloud. Yes, from the name itself, you can make out that you can build a wide variety of integrations in OIC, plain and simple. And when I say wide variety of integrations, guys, to keep it simple, you can integrate one system with any other system under the sun. Okay, you can integrate SAP with Salesforce to ERP. You can integrate any two systems. Okay, so you have wide number of you have plenty of adapters available. So we'll come to that in a moment. But for now, just remember that you can build a wide variety of integrations in OIC and make any two systems talk to each other. And please note that apart from building a wide variety of integrations, there are also a couple of more cloud services available in OIC called VBCS and PCS. Now, VBCS stands for Visual Builder Cloud Service. With the help of VBCS, you can build custom screens or custom user interfaces. So if your client needs a web application or a custom mobile application, if your client needs a custom mobile application or a custom web application, you can go ahead and create them using VBCS. Okay, so if your client needs maybe a custom travel request application, custom expense report app, or custom AR invoice application, you can create that using VBCS. And let's say you create an expense report app, and Emerson employees use that expense report app, log in and submit expense reports. Should expense reports get auto-approved, guys? We wish they would, but usually it goes through approval flows, right? And where do you build those approvals? That is where you have a process cloud service coming into picture. So with VBCS, you build the required applications, web or mobile apps. That will be typically the custom apps that you build here, like expense travel or any other thing. And when employees log into that VBCS app, submit a request, ideally it has to go through multi-layer approval flows. And that is what you do in PCS. And what makes OIC a killer PaaS product is that you can build wide variety of integrations, but it doesn't stop there. You can build a wide variety of, or you can build web or mobile applications in VBCS. And from those applications, you can call approval processes. And after the approvals are obtained from an approval process, I can call an integration. So you have not one, but 3 cloud services in OIC offering distinct capabilities. And what makes it even better is these 3 cloud services can talk to each other. You can build a complex web app in VBCS, kick off an approval process from it, multi-layer approval process. And after approvals are obtained, we can kick off an integration from there. And in fact, I said we will cover 15 integrations, 5 VBCS, 5 PCS apps, right? In those components, there is one complex end-to-end flow that we're going to build. We will build one complex web app for AR invoice, kick off multi-layer approval process from it. And after approvals are obtained, we'll kick off integration and send the data to Fusion Cloud. So by the time you complete the course, you not only master individual cloud services, but you will also know how to use them together to build complex end-to-end flows. Now, if we go back into the integrations here, go back to the use case. So what's a use case? Pretty simple. As and when customer is created in Salesforce, we want the customer to be created in ERP cloud. Clear? As soon as customer is created in Salesforce, we want that customer to be created in ERP. Now, to achieve this use case, I go into integrations and we'll not create an integration directly. Before we create integration, what is it that we need to do? We need to establish connectivity from OIC from OIC, we need to establish connectivity with a source and the target applications. Okay. So how do you establish connectivity from OIC with a source and the target applications, guys? Now, what is the source application in this case?
Salesforce.
Target is ERP. Now, I should establish connectivity from OIC with Salesforce and ERP. How do you do it? That is exactly where connections come into picture. So you go into connections and you would be creating a connection. And when you create a connection, you will be able to see plenty of adapters given by Oracle, guys. You will be able to see plenty of adapters given by Oracle here, given by Oracle. And these adapters will help you to talk to virtually any system that a client uses at the enterprise level. If you search for SAP, yes, you have adapters to talk to SAP. If you search for Salesforce, you have adapters for Salesforce. If you search for Oracle, you have almost 30 plus adapters that would help you to talk to a variety of Oracle applications. Okay, so the key is, and what exactly adapter available here means, guys? The fact that you are able to see an adapter here means it is quite easy for you to talk to that application. Okay, so you have almost 100 plus adapters, and these adapters can help you to talk to plenty of systems that clients use at enterprise level. Now, in this particular case, I need to talk to Salesforce first, which is my trigger. So I would create a connection with a Salesforce adapter, and you give it a name, And for your batch, I'll be using UG94 as an identifier. Any components that I'm going to create for your batch, whether it is a connection, lookup, or integration, I'll be prefixing UG94. And when you guys practice it, you would be using the same OIC instance. You would have to use your first name and last name. Okay. So for example, if Naresh Parigi is practicing it, what is it that he would use as a prefix? Naresh Parigi. Use your first name and use your last name. And if you prefix your components with your initials, it'll be easy for you to figure out what is it that you're creating, because you have plenty of students practicing in the same instance. There should be a way for you to figure out what is it that you created. Remember, in real time, we don't do any such prefixing part. But since it's a playground and since many users are using the instance, we would do that. And I give it a name, I call it a Salesforce connection. And when you create a connection, you choose something called as a role, guys. And this role, this is in fact one of the most important selection that you make when you create a connection. And I'll need at least 20 minutes to talk about this role in detail. And day one session is definitely not the right time for it. Day one session is definitely not the right time for it. We'll not use this. We'll not cover this now. And we would cover it in quite detail when we do the first REST API in OIC. I'll spend 20 minutes and explain this in detail. But for now, I'm going to leave it as trigger and invoke, and I can go ahead and create a Salesforce account. Now remember, guys, when you create a Salesforce connection and when I go to the next screen, there will be quite a few details that you enter in the next screen, guys. When you have to get connected to Salesforce, entering a username and password will not be sufficient. There would be something called as a token also that you need to enter. So configuring a Salesforce connection in the next screen is slightly tedious process. And we would do that anyways. When we build this integration use case as part of the sessions. Remember, guys, we will be covering this exact same integration use case. We will build this particular, we'll cover this integration use case as one of the component in the sessions. And when we do this component, we will be building the service end to end, including the connection configuration and all that. So we'll be covering the same use case, building the same use case later on in detail. I'm not going to build the integration now, guys. I'm going to just show you what is the integration that we're going to build in that session and give you an overview of it. So when we do this use case as integration 13, I will talk about how to create a Salesforce connection. So assume that it is done. Salesforce connection is done. What is the second connection that we need, guys? What are the two systems we need to talk
ERP.
to?
ERP second connection.
Now you go ahead and search for ERP, Oracle ERP Cloud Adapter, ERP connection. And I leave the role as trigger, and look, and as you type in name, identifier is getting generated automatically. And do you see any pattern there, guys? Everything converted to caps, and there's one more change happening. Space is replaced with underscore. So as you type in name, identifier gets generated automatically. Everything converted to caps, space is replaced with underscore, and you go ahead and create a connection. And when you create an ERP connection, it is, depending on the connection that you, depending on the adapter that you pick up, you will see the properties, appropriate properties here. Since I said I want to talk to ERP, it is asking me to enter the ERP instance URL. If I've probably picked up FTP connection, it would ask me to enter the FTP server host name and the port. And if I pick up a Salesforce, you would see Salesforce integrate Salesforce connection details there. Now, what is a ERP cloud instance where we want the customer to be created, guys? This is a Fusion Cloud instance URL. I copy and paste it here. I also need to enter the username and password. I enter the username, and let me enter the password. I don't want to expose it in the session. I copy pasted the password here, and I go ahead and test it. Now, what OIC is trying to do is it is trying to log into this Fusion Cloud instance with this username and password. And once a connection goes through, what does it mean? Is it means that a connection is established between OIC and ERP Cloud. And with the help of this connection, what can I do in the integration? I can use this connection in the integration to do anything that I want in ERP. I can create an invoice, I can create a customer, I can delete a purchase order, I can do the bulk data upload using FPDI. So there are a lot of things that I can do with this ERP connection in Fusion Cloud. So you see connectivity is established. If you don't enter a right password, you get a authentication error also. So the connection is created and you save it. So this
yeah, Professor Sunil this side.
10 minutes question, I'll take the 10 minutes, please. I'll take the questions. Okay.
Sure.
And after you save this connection, we have saved two connections, right? We created a Salesforce connection and we created ERP. Now it's time to go ahead and build the integration. And I'm not going to build it now, but I'll show you how exactly would that integration look like. How exactly would that integration look like? In fact, we'll cover that integration, we'll build that integration when we do this use case as integration 13. And in that session, we will be building an integration which would look something like this. Give me one moment, I'll share my screen back. Okay. So we would be building an integration which looks like this. And in this integration, now, and when I got this use case, guys, when I got the Salesforce to ERP use case, I was completely new to Salesforce, guys. I don't even know ABC of it. I had a little bit of exposure to ERP Cloud, but I was completely new to Salesforce, which is pretty fine, guys. I usually get this question from students. Prasad, as an integration specialist, apart from knowing how to build integrations in OIC, do we also need to be expert of our source and target systems? You don't need to be an expert of source and target systems, guys, because every application that you deal with has its own functional and technical team. Salesforce would have a functional team and a technical team, and ERP Cloud would also have a technical and a functional teams. So when you build integrations between any two systems, it's just that as an integration specialist, you talk to that technical functional consultants, get the required inputs from Salesforce and from ERP, and you would use that knowledge to build the integration in OIC. Remember, today it is Salesforce to ERP. Tomorrow it could be Salesforce to SAP, and day after tomorrow it could be ERP to SAP. As a human, can you master 100 plus systems? It doesn't work, guys. So, and also please note that no client expects you to be a master of a source and target systems. They expect you to be a master of integration, provided you were given a use case. So when I got this use case, what did I do? No panic. And after you get the use case, I've set up a couple of hour meeting with a Salesforce technical team. And I asked technical team, boss, is there I explained them the use case. I told them that user would be entering the customer details here and they hit the save button. Immediately, they want the customer to be created in ERP. Now, what I asked technical team is there a way that I can do a process automation when we hit the save button in Salesforce? Now, whatever I'm going to show you in the application for the next 5-10 minutes, this is the same thing that is shown to me. This is the exact same thing that is shown to me by a Salesforce technical team in that meeting, guys. Remember, you would not be even given access to Salesforce. It is a technical team which would do the setups. And this is what they have done in that session in front of me. I asked them, is there a way to automate a flow? They told clearly that, yes, Prasad, we can define a process automation flow. They have defined a flow. And that flow that they have defined they've defined a flow which is going to look something like this. And again, how do we define a flow? How do we do all these configurations on the Salesforce site? How do we build this integration from scratch? We will be covering that when we do that use case in a future session. I'm just trying to give you a high-level overview today. So our Salesforce technical team has created a flow which looks like this. And that flow is created in such a way that this flow will be triggered whenever an customer account is created or updated. So the moment you create an account, hit the save button, this flow gets triggered, and the flow gets triggered automatically. And from a flow, you can perform actions. Now I asked Salesforce team, boss, can you please show me what are the actions that we can perform here? What are the actions we can perform? Now our technical team has shown me these options. Prasad, do you want to send an email? Sorry, I don't need that. Do you want to update something in Salesforce? I don't need that as well. And they said, we can send a message outside of Salesforce to another system if you want. Outbound message. And this is exactly what I wanted, right? And what they said is, Prasad, if you create an outbound message, from an outbound message, we can call an integration. We can call an integration here. Well, that's it. That gave me the answer. Then what I told Salesforce technical team is, okay, I'll go ahead and build an integration in OIC. And when I build that integration, when you create an integration, there are different styles that you can choose. And we'll spend 15-20 minutes talking about these styles in tomorrow's session in detail. But in this particular use case, since the integration that I'm going to build will be triggered from a Salesforce application, I would build that integration using application style. And when you build an integration using application style, what would happen, guys? I'll talk about the other styles tomorrow. When you build integration using application style, what it basically means is after you build that integration, when you activate it, there would be a URL generated. And I share that URL with a Salesforce. And Salesforce would be triggering our integration from this particular endpoint, from this particular outbound message. So what are the setups that Salesforce technical team did? As soon as you create an account, the flow gets triggered. From the flow, they were calling an outbound message. And in the outbound message, they plugged in our integration endpoint URL. And to that integration, whatever customer fields you have on the customer screen, all those fields are, whatever fields are entered by a business user when they create a customer in Salesforce, all these fields are passed as input to the integration. And my job is very simple now. I just need to build an integration. I need to receive these customer details as input from Salesforce, and I need to share that URL with a Salesforce team so that they would plug it in here. Now, what do? You create an integration using application style, and this is exactly how that integration is going to look like. And we'll build this from scratch when we do that use case. And whenever you build an integration, by default, you will see a blank screen. By default, you see a blank screen and you see a plus icon popping up. And the first thing that you do in any integration is to configure a trigger connection. So the first node in any integration that you have is called as a trigger because it is a triggering point or starting point for the integration. And which application would be triggering our integration, guys?
Salesforce.
Salesforce. So what is it that I would do? I would have created two connections, right? I created only ERP, but assume that Salesforce is also done. So I would use that Salesforce connection here. I will use that Salesforce connection here. And I will use that Salesforce connection. Assume that this is my Salesforce connection. I use that connection and configure it as a trigger. Okay. And what do? When I use it as a trigger, whatever fields are being thrown from Salesforce here as input to my integration, I receive it here. Now the first half of the story is done. Now every time a customer account is saved here, the flow would be triggered. From the flow, outbound message will be called, and from the outbound message, my integration will be triggered. Customer details passed as input, and I'm also receiving them here. Now the second half of the story. At this point, what do I need to do? I get customer details as input. I need to go to ERP and create a customer there. Well, if you have a little bit of exposure to ERP Cloud, you can come up with a logic to create a customer yourself. But I've never worked with customers when I did this use case, guys. So what did I do? I went to a Fusion technical consultant and I asked him, boss, tell me, what do I need to do to create a customer in ERP Cloud? And I'm not sure how many of you know this, guys, but this background is given to me by Fusion technical consultant. And what they said is, Prasad, a customer is a complex data entity. It's a master data. It follows trading community architecture. And you cannot directly create a customer account and an account site in cloud. Before you create a customer account and an account site, you need to register the customer as a party and a party site. Now I asked them, how do I register a customer as a party and a party site? You need to call an organization service to do that. So you need to register a customer as a party and a party site. And for a party site to be created, we need to have a location registered. So this background is given to me by technical consultant. We cannot create a customer account and an account site directly without creating a party and a party site, because customer account will get linked to party, account site will get linked to party site. And party creation is okay, but for party site to be created, we need to have location created. So what is it that we have to do, guys? 3 simple steps. Those 3 services we need to call. And you see this node, guys? You see a pop-up, and in the pop-up, what is the second line that you see? Oracle ERP Cloud. In the pop-up, what do you see in the second line, guys? In that pop-up.
ERP.
So that Oracle ERP Cloud, right? So that indicates what type of adapter it is. And the last line tells you what connection it is. So what is it that I did? I used that ERP Cloud connection. I used ERP Cloud connection 3 times here. So whatever ERP Cloud connection that we have created, we can use that connection 3 times here. And first time you use it to call location service, second time organization service, third customer account service. And technical consultant had told me what services I need to call and what fields I need to pass as input. So how did I build this integration? Assume that a Salesforce connection is configured as a trigger. Now, what is it that I need to do? I need to create a location first, right? So I used my ERP connection, and here I'm using UG94 that I created here. I use that connection and I say, create location. And I go to the next screen, and when I use ERP connection here, I'm using this specific ERP connection that I've created in OIC here. And with the help of ERP connection, these are the things that we can do. You can perform CRUD operations in cloud using web services, or you can also do import bulk data using FPDI, or you can upload the file to UCM. We'll talk about these 2 later on. But in this particular case, I want to create a location in cloud. So I go with the CRUD operations and I say continue. And when I come into this screen, you see services and REST APIs. Remember, guys, to interact with this Fusion Cloud application, Oracle has given a lot of standard SOAP services and REST APIs, guys. I'm not really sure how many of you know this. So this Oracle Fusion Cloud application, if you're coming in with EBS background, absolutely not required, but just in case you're coming in with that background, you need to know that you will not even get access of a database of Fusion Cloud. So even if you have to do a simple automated file upload into Fusion Cloud, you need an integration specialist, and we need to create an integration in OIC. And that's precisely why you have so much of a demand for OIC consultants. Now, to make it easy to interact with Fusion Cloud applications because of these restrictions, Oracle has given a lot of standard SOAP services and REST APIs. Now, if anyone is hearing these terms, SOAP services and REST APIs for the first time, don't panic and bear with me for tomorrow's session. And day after tomorrow, and day 3 and day 4, we will be focusing on web service basics. Day 3, we will be focusing on SOAP service basics, and day 4, we focus on REST APIs. These are the two popular types of web services available in the market today. And to bring everyone up to speed, you might or might not have worked in integrations earlier. So to bring everyone up to speed, we would be spending 2 1-hour sessions covering SOAP service and REST API basics on day 3 and day 4. And once we are done with these sessions, you will be pretty much comfortable with all the terms that I use in the sessions, like SOAP, XML, WSDL, XSD, operation, request response, payloads, right? And with REST API, you have some terms associated again, like HTTP methods, JSON, and all that. So all of that would be clear. All of that would be very clear to you after we do those web service basic sessions. So if you're finding some terms difficult to relate to, bear with me for one more session, day 3 and day 4, everything would be cleared. And if I go to services here, now what is it that I need to do? I say location service. And the moment I select a service here, when you create a PL SQL package, do you have procedures in them, guys? When you create a package, you have procedures in them. In an exactly similar fashion, when you select a service, you will see operations that we have within that service here. One service could have multiple operations, and you need to choose what operation do you want to call. Is it create operation or delete? Sorry, create location or delete or something, or any other operation. So I say create location. So I'm using ERP connection, and I'm saying create location in cloud. So what is it that I'm asking OIC to do? First, create a location in ERP. Now you need to tell me in which ERP instance will it create a location, guys? That information is there in the connection. Remember, this is a connection I'm using, right? UG94 connection. When I use the connection, I say go to this ERP instance, create a location. So which instance would OIC log into? OIC would log into the EXES instance with this username and password, and it would try to create a location there. Now, when I say create a location, it would log into this instance with this username and password, and it would try to create a location. And the moment you invoke a connection, it would say, okay, Prasad, I'll create a location. But it would immediately generate a mapper and say, Prasad, I don't mind creating a location, but you need to tell me with what address you want the location to be created. And you see this element, this is called as a mapper element or XSL transformation element. So this is where you need to map the fields from a source to the target. On the source side, you see what is the address details you received from Salesforce plus customer details. And here I'm asking OIC to go to ERP, create a location. On the target side, you see what are the fields that we have to pass to create a location. Now, what details do we need to pass, guys? Obviously, the address details, right? So you need to pass country, address, city, zip code, and so on. And on the source side, what do you see? You will be able to see what is the payload we received from Salesforce. And in most cases, the attributes might not be of the same name. See, the country is billing country in Salesforce, but it is called as just country in ERP. And how do you map an attribute from source to target? As simple as dragging and dropping the attribute from source to the target this way. So this is one of the basic things that you can do. Like you can drag and drop the attribute from source to target, but you can do pretty much, you can do pretty complex stuff here. You can do, look at the XSLT code generated. You can do use complex XSL transformation functions to transform the values that you receive from source before you assign it to the target. And as we progress in the course, we will be covering all of that. And you can also map from one attribute from source to multiple attributes. You can concatenate multiple attributes from source, assign it to one single attribute. So all of that is possible. And this is exactly how you build integrations in OIC using configuration-based approach. Any use case you get, very simple. Break down the use case, understand what are the systems involved, create the connections with those systems, as we have done here. And once the connections are established, go ahead and create an integration, use the connections within the integration, and do the handshake with the help of mappers. As simple as that. And this is exactly what we'll be focusing on for the next 2 months. And before I open up a session for questions, OIC follows configuration-based approach. Did I write any code anywhere? I just created connection, and I'm using those connections in the integrations, and I'm doing the handshakes here. The same configuration-based approach you follow, even in the VBCS and PCS also, zero code. And it is very easy to integrate cloud applications with on-prem and vice versa. So if you go back here, remember in the design screen, you have something called as connectivity agent, guys. And this connectivity agent would help you to talk to on-prem applications. So if your client has few on-prem applications and cloud applications, when you have to integrate cloud applications with on-prem applications, you can easily achieve it with the help of connectivity agent. And we will be covering that, in fact, as one of the use case. We'll be covering that, in fact, in one of the use case end-to-end. Okay, so we do a SaaS to on-premise integration with connectivity agent. And we also have an option to build a business processes in PCS or approval flows in PCS, and you can call integration from PCS and PCS from VBCS. And that's what makes OIC a killer PaaS product. Now, what is OIC called as, guys? It is called as a PaaS product, platform as a service product, because we use this platform to build the required integrations, VBCS and PCS applications required for a Fusion Cloud implementation. Remember, any client who wants to implement Fusion Cloud cannot go live without OIC in scope. Okay, and that brings us to what exactly OIC is. It's not one single service. You have integrations, VBCS, PCS, 3 cloud services offered together, 3 cloud services offered together as a single unified cloud service called OIC. You don't have analytics, it's taken off, but these 3 cloud services are part of OIC. And we'll stop here for today. I don't want to overload you on day one. And a few points before I open it up for session. We'll open up the session for questions. Don't worry, I'll answer all the questions, only then I'll stop the session. It's a first session for your batch today. It's a 9 to 10 a.m. IST batch. Monday to Saturday, we do 1 hour session. I repeat, not Monday to Friday. Monday to Saturday, we do 1 hour session. And batch goes on for 8 to 9 weeks. And as part of the course, I said we'll cover 15 integrations, right? So these integrations are designed in such a way that it covers all possible scenarios that you are likely to encounter in real time. You build 4 integrations inbound, 4 outbound integrations. You build event-related integrations, agent-related integrations, third-party integrations with systems like Salesforce, and not just 15 integrations. We do build 5 VBCS and 5 PCS applications as well, including 1 end-to-end solution linking all of them. And you can notice that I'm recording this session. Yes, we do record every live session that we conduct and give you lifetime access to them. So just in case you miss a session at 9 o'clock, nothing to worry. By 10, we upload a session recording to Drive. You can go through it and practice it in the instance. And of course, we give you 3 months of instance access to OIC, Fusion Cloud, SFTP server, and a database in cloud. so that you can practice those use cases, and let me know if you have any questions. Around 70% of you have already made a fee payment. I think around 22 or 23 have already enrolled in a course. And we did send out onboarding emails as well to you folks. And in that onboarding email, we have included the OIC login credentials. We've also included the details to access the PPTs, recordings, and other details as well. Those of you who have received that onboarding email, request you to please log into OIC instance, explore the screens that we have done today. Okay, you would be able to see these integrations and all that in the OIC instance, play around with them for some time. And if you have not made a fee payment yet, and if you want to proceed with it, send us a note and send us a WhatsApp message on this number. We'll let you know the enrollment process, and you can proceed with it if you want. And if you want to play the wait and watch game, or if you want to check out one more session before you make that final call, absolutely fine. You can attend the demo session tomorrow as well. I hate to call it demo because there's nothing demo in it. Tomorrow's session, we will be focusing on integration design options that we have. We'll be focusing on this particular screen in tomorrow's session. And yes, you can check out tomorrow's session also for free if you want. But after tomorrow's session, we will be enabling a passcode on the meeting, and only if you enroll, you would be able to continue in the course. Okay. And before I take questions from you, request you to please raise your hand so that I can call out your name. You can ask the question, unmute yourself, ask the question. And once your question is answered, request you to please go back on mute and lower your hand. Okay, just to avoid all the confusion. Okay, yes, Ramesh, go on.
Yeah, hi Prasad. Good morning.
Yeah, very good morning.
Yeah, is there any involvement like SQL and PL/SQL, entire the integration, voice integration?
Yeah, not, I mean, we don't use SQL and PLSQL in every integration, but when we do file-based automations, like this, you would be getting a file from a different source system, and you probably get it in FTP location. You build an integration, and you might have to do a bulk validation or transformation or enrichment of the file content here. Because when you have to load a file into ERP or HCM cloud, data source might or might not give you a file in the same format. Most often, they won't give in the same format. And that is exactly where you might probably need a little bit of SQL or PLSQL to do that required transformation here. But to be frank, we normally don't do it as an integration specialist. If you know SQL and PLSQL, you can help yourself. But most of the integration specialists don't know it, and they would be relying on Fusion Technical Consultant to write those PL SQL packages or SQL queries for you that you need here. Okay? It's involved in few integrations, and there would be people to help when you need them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Aruna.
Okay, hi. So in your hands-on exercises, does this also include like integration, like when we are transferring the big data from source to target, because it might require some setup in the OIC side, because when you're doing a big data, the API has limits, right?
Well, worry about when we get into the granular details when we do the file-based automation. There is a way that you can process the files in chunks. We'll talk about what is the size limit, and we'll also talk about how to process the files in chunks as well.
Okay, one more piece is like how Boomi and OIC like really differs. Like, I mean, does it has an OIC as an operate?
It's like I mean, if I have to put it in numbers, Boomi is 10% of what OIC can do. Okay. And the only client who usually goes for Boomi is because they cannot afford OIC. But in every other case, 9 out of 10 clients use OIC to do the integrations. Because if you look at the ecosystem, or if you look at the connections or adapters that we have, or the options that you have in OIC, I mean, it doesn't even deserve a comparison, if I have to put it that way.
Okay, but last piece is if somebody has a time constraint schedule, can we get advanced recordings for it?
No is the answer, and you can call me on this number to discuss further.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Ravikant.
Sangeeta here. I have
Mhm.
very small doubt. If many people are working on the instance at same time, like 20 members or more than 20 members, does
Even
it?
if even if 250 members work on an instance at the same time, you won't have any performance impact, and you don't have to really worry about it.
I mean, if we are using in SaaS application, it will be slow, right? So that is the reason
It
I'm asking.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't work that way here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and please note that all 200 doesn't work at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, Soma.
Hey, let's say if I'm making some of these integrations or the connections, right? I mean, you shown like there are 100 pre-built connections Oracle has already provided. Sorry. And I have a connection with both Bank of America. So I received the payments files and check payment instructions and all that, right? Or, payables reconciliation and all that. So who will build these new connections if it is not in the pre-built? Is there an
If you don't
admin
have
separate role?
if you don't have the connections, or if you don't connection is not the right word. If you don't have the adapters to talk to a specific application, we usually make use of either SOAP or REST APIs to talk to those systems where we don't have a direct adapter connection. Okay. So for example, if you get some information it could be either ways. It can be an inbound message, it can be an outbound message. If you want to say, for example, if I just tweak this use case, let's say as and when a customer is created in Salesforce, we need to create that customer not in ERP, but maybe your client is using a custom ERP product that they have, or they might have a custom application where you need to create a customer, not in ERP. And when you search with that particular inbound internal application that a client has, you obviously not find an adapter. So what do you do in that case? You ask the client, is there any REST API or a SOAP service that you can use to talk to that system? And if it's an internal application created using .NET or Java, you can easily expose REST APIs. And with the help of those REST APIs, you can talk to them. This is one way. Or you ask them if you can directly connect to a DB if that is not available. Okay. So these are the options that we have. If you don't have an adapter, we use a standard SOAP or REST adapters, or we try to connect to databases and interact with applications.
So these
Let's get into the
adapters.
granular details when we reach that stage. Okay. So for now, have you got an idea like what exactly? If you understood that there are adapters, we use them in the connection, and those connections are used in the integrations. That's more than enough for today. We cannot do 55 hours in one single session. When we start building integrations, you would understand the usage of connections in different ways, as a trigger, as an invoke, and then we will focus more on the questions that you have. Okay. Yes, Laksh.
Yeah, see, you are talking about HCM, Fusion, and ERP, right? Are we touching all these things in this course?
Yes, when we build the integrations, we have use cases covering finance, SCM, and HCM. We have use cases from financials, like we have journal import, exchange date upload, etc. We have use cases from SCM, like purchase order, item update, and so on. And we do have use cases from HCM, like HCM extracts, atom feeds, and the HDL automation as well. So the use cases are designed in such a way that it spreads across modules. Also, what you need to understand is once you understand how to build an integration pattern, so for example, when we do this complex REST API, I show you how to call a PO API. You can just easily extrapolate it and call maybe an AP invoice API if you're interested in finance, or you can call a worker API if you're interested in HCM. Yes, Mia.
So no Oracle because other products no need to be aware of it for this.
You don't need to. You don't need to. As I mentioned earlier, you would be interacting with ERP today, and day after tomorrow you might be talking to SAP, and then the third day you might be talking to some other system. And whatever, and also to add one more point there, when we do these integration use cases, of course, there is a little bit of context that you need to know in Fusion Cloud. Say, for example, if I talk about this use case, wherein we will see how to automate an FPDA process. Now you might say, Prasad, what the hell is FPDA? I'm hearing it for the first time, right? There might be quite a few of you. So FPDA is basically a process that we use to do a bulk data upload into ERP cloud. And since most of you might not be aware of it, or even though everybody is aware, I make sure that I take you into Fusion Cloud application, show you how that FPDA process works. We load a file manually, and then we come back to OIC, build an integration, and try to automate it. And that's the approach that we follow for each and every integration. For every integration use case, there is a context that you need to know on the source side and the target side. And I'll be giving you that context first, and then we build the integration. And in real time, who would give you that context? It would be the Fusion functional or a technical consultants or Salesforce or whatever is that application consultants will give you that feedback. Yes, Sunil. Please lower your hand if your question is answered. That would avoid confusion. Sunil.
Sir,
Yeah.
we will do any one-to-one implementation of course.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you repeat it?
One-to-one implementation using OIC.
What is one-to-one? One-to-one. What do you exactly mean by one-to-one? So here we are doing a integration between Salesforce to ERP, right? So you have one application here, you have a second application here. I'm not exactly what you mean by one-to-one. So are you talking about integrating one application with another application? Is that your question?
Yes, like in some interviews they are asking like whether you are done any one-to-one implementation like that.
Yeah,
So
this is one-to-one only, right? Salesforce to ERP is one-to-one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If it is two systems that you integrate with one-on-one, then you can probably give a Salesforce to ERP use case. Yes, Surya.
Are you building any project like will work only on real-time examples or these cases?
Sorry, Surya, I can barely hear you. Please speak a bit louder. Put your mic closer to the mouth, please.
Are we building any project? If not, like we'll work on the real-time examples, the use cases.
As part of the course, we will build 15 integrations, 5 VBCS and 5 PCS applications, and these are all the use cases that I've built and delivered for actual end clients in real-time projects. So if you probably work in OIC for 3 years, and if you have worked in 4 or 5 implementation projects, these are the exact same components that you would have created. And at the end of the course, if you have attended all the sessions and if you have practiced the components that I covered in the session, you can show it as at least 3 years of experience in real time, if that is a question. Yes, Alec. Yeah.
Hey, Prasad, Sunil this side. I think I missed to ask you last time. Hey, thanks for the session, Prasad. I have 3 questions to ask. Probably I'll just quickly wrap through.
Can you call me on this number? We'll discuss it in detail. Let's give a chance to others as well. Yeah.
Sure, Prasad. I can do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, Alec. Yeah. Sorry, I cannot hear you. Not really sure if you have a question, Ravikant. Thanks,
Hello.
everyone. Thanks for your time. Yes, Alec, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you out. Can you hear me?
Yes, go on with your question.
So I was asking what kind of roles will be provided with in the Fusion?
Okay, we'll talk more about it when we do the journal import survey. So if I talk about it now, everybody else would get confused. I understand that you know a little bit of Fusion Cloud and the technical side of it. But let's talk about it when we do the journal import and PO. Okay. But in terms of if your question is what would I be able to do when I log into Fusion Cloud application, you would be given logins with the help of which that you can explore all the modules like Finance, SCM, and HCM.
Okay, but will you have a privilege to create something?
Yeah, that's you can. I mean, you do have admin access, and you can go ahead and create whatever users you want, whatever roles you want. Okay.